Nomads, and we have been on the road about a year now. Just over. And we're up here visiting Rob's dad on beautiful Vashon Island, and we thought this would be a good chance to talk to everybody about 5 things we wish we would have known before we took off RVing. One of the biggest things for us is source of income. I think, you know, you spend so much time glamorizing a life on the road that you don't realize how much it's actually going to cost. It's a lot less than living in brick and mortar, but it still costs a lot of money.
It's expensive to do.
And especially since COVID and all of those other things, it appears that there are more and more RVers out there. So just even if you aren't a big time boondocker and you like staying on resorts and KOAs and things like that, the prices of those are starting to go up. If you plan on being a YouTuber, start well in advance. Start filming your journey and getting as much published as you can. We've been, you know, working on it as we go, and if we had to do it over again, we probably wouldn't have done it this way. We probably would have.
We originally planned where I would be working on the road a little bit, doing the tile setting, what I've always done my whole life, and up here in Seattle, down in Denver, and where Angie's dad lives out in South Carolina. I've had to do it a lot more, I think, than we originally intended on, but that's what made it work, so that's what we've done.
Yes. And one good resource for us with this YouTube adventure has been Keep Your Daydream. We've really appreciated it. They have
Learned a lot.
Yeah, Mark has published how to start a YouTube channel, and it's been really, really a huge source of reference for us, a huge support system, because a lot of the people who are doing this are also full-time RVers. Our dog. If you're not just planning on starting a YouTube channel, or if you are, or if you're not, but you're also going to be working remotely, and if you'll be boondocking at all, or even if you're staying at campgrounds a lot, it's a really good idea to make sure that you have a solid source of Wi-Fi. We have tried hotspots a number of different ways. What's worked for us that we found is there's a place called Nomad Internet, and we're not getting paid for this, but Nomad Internet ended up...
So we had to go with them, right?
Yeah. They ended up working really well. They're a little bit pricier. We have the Red plan, which is also Verizon, but it's worked pretty much everywhere we've gone. We've been able to connect. We've been able to upload videos, and it's nice when you go to some of these campgrounds not to have to connect to their Wi-Fi like that. So those are some things I can recommend. Make sure that you've tested out your remote work if that's what you plan on doing, and if you need internet, that you have a really solid connection for that, and you've tested a few things to figure out what works for your family. And 2, if you plan on doing YouTube, I would suggest starting it before you go. Film your adventures and see how it goes. Right? The next thing that we wanted to talk about is that the RV you set out in may not be your forever RV.
I think when we started this was quite a process of finding what RV we wanted to go in. We knew we wanted to go out, be full-time, and what were we going to do it in? And I think, if I remember right, one of the very first ones that I looked into, because I'd always heard they were the best, were the Airstreams. And we started there. I was looking online, looking at used ones, was kind of shocked at the price. That was a learning curve. And then learning why they are the price they are. I think next we went to some of the older Class A's. We liked the idea of being able to move around while we were going down the road. I think from there, I had never liked the looks of a fifth wheel. Just something about it, I was like, nah, I don't want a fifth wheel. I remember when we bought our property and the realtor told me, oh, are you just going to buy a fifth wheel and park it on here? And I was like, absolutely not. Didn't want anything to do with them at the time.
Never say never.
Boy, I sure come around on that. I think the point I'm trying to make, long story short, is trying to find the perfect one. You might not find it first. And what we've seen a lot of the other families going out and doing the full-time is they've changed along the way. And we have too. The exciting thing is it's coming, it's in the works. there's a new one on the way. Little teaser there for you. But that's one of the first things we've learned is you'll never find the perfect one. You'll have your like list, you'll have your want list. The want list is really long, and then you learn what price tag you're going to have to pay for that. Learn that you might need to subtract some things, but and it's perfectly okay just to find one, get you out there, get you going. What ended up dropping into our laps was a used unit from a friend of the family who they were full-timing, and due to medical reasons they had to quit, and they were selling their fifth wheel, which is the 2010 Jacob that we first used, and we got to remodel that one. It wasn't the number one that I had on the list. It was probably the third one that I knew was a possibility. Just the floor plan is what I'm talking about. And as it turned out, Jace ended up, his bedroom was kind of the couch. He loved it at first, went for a year on it. I don't think he ever really complained about it, but we did realize it probably needed something, a little more of his own space in the bedroom. We learned that along the way, and I had no idea that. Today, we thought we'd take a moment and introduce you to one of our family mottos, which is
Stupid hurts.
And the way we came about Stupid Hurts is when we were buying our first four-wheeler, Jason and I went out to pick it up, and it was a 2006 Honda Recon four-wheeler, and the guy actually happened to have the owner's manual with it, and right on the front of the owner's manual was the words
Stupid hurts.
And we just adopted that as our motto when it came to riding the four-wheelers.
Let's do the full track!
Three. Stupid hurts.
We spent a lot of time in Colorado during the winter, which was not our plan last year. And learned probably more than we ever even want to begin to know about camping in the cold.
It's a whole new experience. I think when we all start out, or a lot of us anyway, that you have that picture perfect boondocking on the edge of the lake in the mountains, and it's the perfect sunny day. You don't need the heater, you don't need the AC, it's perfect.
Or it's cold outside and you're snuggled up on the couch with your mug of cocoa or whatever your warm drink of preference is, and everything's just fine, like you're in a home.
And then reality sets in, and you need to do a little work, and you swing by Denver right in the middle of when they're setting record cold temperatures. And we got to truly test our rig. And there's a few things that we've learned that I will tell you about that you want to look for on your rig. And pay attention to the BTUs of the furnace. We had a 40,000 BTU furnace, and that turned out to be wonderful.
Yeah.
It was a 4-season insulation package, which I would definitely pay attention to, and there are huge differences in insulation on different rigs. Different manufacturers use different levels of insulation, so really pay close attention to that.
Yeah, and I think also one thing we learned the hard way is making sure all the seals to your slide are really tight. Your door seals are tight, your slide seals are tight, because it does not matter how great your insulation or your furnace is if you don't have everything sealed up tight. Unfortunately, our seals weren't as tight as they could have been, and there was a couple times where the Arctic air just blew right through our door, and it does not matter how strong your furnace is when that happens.
Right, there are things you learn along the way, and two big things. We had a piece of trim fall down. We didn't know it until one morning I was standing there and really felt the cold air just coming in the top, and found out that it was a piece of trim off the window falling behind there, holding the flaps up, so all the little wind breezes were just coming right in our rig. And at one point we were going through a bottle of propane, lasted us only almost 2 days. So we were spending close to $100 a week just in propane, and that gets hard to sustain for any period of time.
And that's atypical. We had talked to some other folks who were out in Colorado who were going through the same weather that we were. They had really good seals on their rig, and they were maybe going through a bottle of propane every 1 to 2 weeks. So,
and to add, he had a fireplace. which at
Oh,
first
we
I thought was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen in a fifth wheel travel trailer. But learn to appreciate the fact that you can be plugged in, not running on propane, and get that 5,000 BTUs, which from talking to them at the time really made a huge difference.
Yes. And the other thing is where you buy your propane. So if you are in the winter and you need to buy propane, try and do it out of town. We paid almost twice for propane in town as we did in some of when we were closer to some of those farm towns. Super cheap. I think that's a rule of thumb we even follow now. Tractor Supply Company.
Go to the farm towns. Tractor Supply is always one of the best. I'm going to have to say Ace is always one of the most expensive.
Right.
At least we could get it.
Yeah. And we know that's probably not the case all over the nation, but in the places that we stayed, Colorado, Arizona, a few of the other western states, it tends to be a little bit more expensive at Ace than it is at Tractor Supply Company. So,
RV parks were kind of hit and miss. Some of them were competitive, some of them were high. It's convenience to get it right there.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Also, when you're buying propane, do they sell by the container or do they sell by the gallon?
That's
huge difference. I got taken put over the barrel. I needed propane, had to have it for our trip. Had to end up paying. I had one bottle that was half, another one that was 2/3. That's a whole other story I'll tell you about. But I had to pay for the container, which was full price. And lesson learned along the way.
Yeah. It's not such a big deal in winter, but once you get, I'm sorry, in summer, but once you get into the winter months, it can get expensive. And again, going back to budget can be a little bit blown when you're not expecting these kinds of things. Yeah.
Good.
The next thing that we've learned along the way is, we watched a ton of videos and did a ton of research on full-time RVing families before we left. What we found in real life is the stigma of full-time RVers is not always positive.
There's some pros and some cons that we've learned.
Right.
Some people kind of tend to look down on it. We've come across.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that, wow, you're full-timers. What's it like? And want to know more. And I think what you were touching on was a couple times we've had a little bit of negative.
Yeah, where people think that because you're living in a fifth wheel, you don't have enough incomes to sustain yourself in a home, and sometimes that is the case for a lot of people. But I've learned to respect even the folks who can't afford to live in a home, to respect them even more because they're doing what it takes to make sure that they and their family are okay. And so in the beginning, I think I found myself being on the defensive slightly with it, but what I've learned is just to smile and nod and know that my lifestyle isn't for everybody else, and their lifestyle maybe isn't for me, and that's okay because that's who we are. So if you haven't started yet and you're about to start, or you're just starting out, or you've been on the road forever, any positive folks are great to talk to, but when you do run across those negative folks, just take it with a grain of salt because it's just not worth getting upset over. You know who you are, and that's all that matters.
And I think the latest example we had was we were in Home Depot getting some supplies. I had been working for the day, and he just drove the rig and met me there. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But and a guy walked up to us, and he parked his car and walked up and said something to the effect, and found out we were full-timers. And the excitement he had and being able to share the knowledge that we had at the time, being on the road a little bit, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know how to do that.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit to tell him, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great to get to share your knowledge, whether you're on your first month, first year, or first 10 years. There's always something that you can share with other people. Okay.
What does that leave us with?
That leaves us with learning to take your time.
That's a good one.
So most of us are doing this because you feel like you're in a rat race, or you don't want to, you want to have a certain amount of freedom and being able to go out and experience the world. Everybody has their own reasons for choosing this lifestyle. A lot of it for us was trying to slow down and take our time. Remembering to do that and not feel like we're just in vacation mode when we first started off, that was hard.
That was, and we were so used to going, we would get so excited about going camping or whatever trip we were going to take, and specifically camping, we would try to head out Thursday night. And we had to go, we were from Colorado, so spots are extremely hard to get in Colorado. Somebody would head out Thursday night and try to save a spot, and you were at a frantic pace.
Yeah.
And it was go, go, go.
Yep.
And that's one of the first things we've learned to slow down. Don't need to go as far every day driving. It's really the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And once you learn that, it is so much more enjoyable.
Well, yeah, and just like the other day, Jace looked at us and he said, "You guys, can we just pull over and take a look at some of these scenic overlooks every once in a while? We always just fly right past them." And at first, Rob and I were like, "No, we can't do that. We got to get where we're getting." And we're like, "Wait a second, we could." And so next thing we knew, we were driving across Washington, and there was a scenic overlook, and we pulled over. And I was so glad that we did that. We got to see all the rugged mountains, and then you just got to see the valleys.
The scenic overlooks are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Stop and enjoy. Yeah.